Welcome to the Manhood Podcast. We're providers, protectors, procreators, promise keepers. And you know I love my hype music. Today is special. I have a guest with us, and his lovely wife happens to be singing background on this particular song. I don't necessarily play my hype music this long, but I want to wait and let her kick in and sing her part, and then we'll fade it out and start our conversation. But I got brother Kenny Bryant here with me. There it is. There's his beautiful wife, Wincy.
There it is.
There we go. All right. Let's get into this. Kenny Bryant is, formerly a teacher in the inner city who did Primerica part-time. Mm-hmm. Made enough money part-time. Could have been a full-time salary for a lot of folks, and really did his thing. And now he's transitioned to doing that full-time financial advisor, just a good brother. When I met him, we just connected on a different level. Just love his energy, love his vibe, love his spirit and the things that he does. He is an awesome father, raising his two sons while not being with their mother. And I'll let him tell that story and how that came about, and just did an awesome job. He raised 3 terrific young men, really, really terrific young men. And I want him to tell his story. But first, I want to hear about his relationship with his father. Kenny, go ahead. Talk to us.
Well, first thing is thank you for having me. Okay, it's nice to be here.
Thank you.
Nice to even be considered that your story is worthwhile to help some men. But my story is crazy. It's like Antoine Fisher. You're looking at I'm Antoine Fisher. Okay, I didn't meet my father till I was 34. My mom was a young woman, like maybe 11 years younger than my father. And so my mother was hanging out with older women, my aunts and different things of that nature. And she meets my father, and he's older, and he's also married, okay, which she didn't know, okay. So they hook up, and up pops me. And he wanted to take my mother to California. And my mother's like, there's no way in the world I'm going to California. You're married, and are you going to take me away from all my family? No way. So my mother stayed in New Jersey. My father went to California, and I never saw him until 34 years later. My mother did a great job. She raised us up in Stamford, Connecticut, so I got a great education. I came back to Jersey because I had a cousin that was graduating from Seton Hall, and I came to Jersey, and at that particular time, I was getting in trouble. A single mother, and I was old enough to, look down on her, and she really couldn't control me. So I was doing some things I had no business doing, and had almost got shot a couple times, and so I always think the irony of this. My mother sends me from Stamford, Connecticut to Newark, New Jersey to keep me out of trouble. And just the irony of that is just incredible all by itself.
Yeah.
But it worked, So I come to Newark, Irvington, to be exact, right on the border. And, I sign up for college, and I meet a young lady, and she becomes my girl, and I get her pregnant, and my son is turns 2. We decide to get married, and I was 22 years old, way too young to get married. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Way too young. And I tried to tell her I wasn't ready, man, but she had her agenda, and she knew what she wanted. And but one thing I will say, I was not a good husband, but I was a good father.
Okay.
And she would put a stamp on that.
Okay.
And when we did divorce, the judge asked her if she wanted child support, and she's like, nah, he's going to take care of his kids.
Let me rewind you a little bit, because you're getting into fatherhood, but I want to go back to you and your father. Okay. You say you were 34 when you met your father. How did that come about? What was that like when you met him for the first time?
That's a great question. It was a little crazy because I had girlfriends that said they were going to help me find my father. And my current wife, Wincy, I told her my father's name, and she pulled up all these, names of my father's last name. And I had the list of names for about 6 months before I even dialed one of them. And because
this is the real Antoine Fisher.
Yeah,
this going through a list of names from the phone book type of deal.
So I had the list of names, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this because right now I'm happy. If this man disrespects my mother, then I'm gonna want to hurt him. And so I finally get the nerve up and I make one phone call, just one phone call.
Okay.
And I call up my Uncle Charles, who I didn't know was my uncle at the time, but I say, hi, my name is Kenny Bryant. I'm calling because I have reason to believe that Harold is my father. And I said, I don't want anything. I'm a grown man with children of my own. I just want to bring this chapter of my life to a close.
Okay.
And he says, well, Harold is my brother. And he takes my number. My father calls me back. I fly out to L.A. We go to Vegas, and I meet my sister. I meet my little brother, who's now deceased, unfortunately. But I did have a chance to meet him and spend some time with him. And then I realized I had all this family. Growing up, I didn't have I had only my mother's side of the family.
Right.
And that wasn't a big side of the family. Then I just wake up, and one day I got a gigantic, humongous family, okay, and trying to decipher, and get to know people. And there was they threw a birthday party for my grandmother is when I met the family.
Okay.
And I remember getting dressed up, and my wife and I were standing outside, and well, she was parking the car. And I was standing outside because I was nervous. Yeah. And my Aunt Gloria, she came out and she grabbed me. She's like, I know who you are, because the striking thing is that I look just like my father. Yeah. I behave just like my father. Yes. I laugh like him. When I was wild like him. It's uncanny what genetics, the power of genetics. And so I met the family, and my father and I, we clicked. I met my sister and brother, and I got to know him for 10 years. Yeah. 10 years before he passed away.
Good. And you all had a good relationship?
We did have a good relationship. Yeah. We would call. I would call him. He would call me. Yeah. We would talk, and, and there were some things that he did get a chance to teach me. Okay. It was some things that he did get a chance to teach me. Master negotiator he was. Yes. Master negotiator. I've never seen
awesome
anybody,
businessman.
Yep. Yeah. So there were things that he did get a chance to teach me that I were able to implement into my own business. Yeah. And that's I think that's about that part. I got a bunch of sisters and siblings and brother, that I never had.
So let me say this. So Kenny and I are cousins through marriage. I was married to Kenny's first cousin, my late wife, Lisa. She would always say that her Uncle Harold would tell her, don't date any boys from Newark because it might be your cousin. No idea that this man was looming out there somewhere in the streets of Newark. But as far as being a big family, I think there were 11 of them. Yeah. 11 of them. God knows how many cousins. Oh, gosh. And then the cousins having children. Huge family, loving, caring. And Aunt Gloria, she was the one that welcomed me into the family as well. Sitting at the kitchen table. Her and Aunt Vivian and someone else was there. They interrogated me to make sure that I was worthy to step to their niece. Okay. Wow. So that's the type of family it is. They are very protective, but very loving at the same time. And welcoming someone in who, after 34 years, is just like, hey, come on in. Welcome to to the family. And I'm glad, to get to know you. Our sons are close
friends, yeah.
Very, very close friends. I go to see my son. I usually see his son at the house, or I'm hearing stories about his son at the house, which leads me to you being a father. First and foremost, did you choose to be a father? And how did that happen? And how did women usually take the transition of becoming a mother. They have 9 months of gestation, and then they're usually nurtured to be mothers. As men, we're not necessarily nurtured that way.
No.
It takes us a while to catch up, and sometimes it takes years after that child is born. How did you catch up? When did it kick into you that you were a father? So first, were you expecting to be a father? And secondly, when did it really kick in to not just be a father donating biological material, but to be a dad?
That's once again, great question. I definitely did not plan on being a father. I had gone to Florida to work with my uncle on my mother's side. He had a construction company. And so I had my girl up here, but I went down there to work to learn a trade so I could come back and utilize that trade up here. And, I went down there, stayed down there for about 6 months, came back. And as soon as I got back, she got pregnant. The minute I got back. So it was not planned. It was not structured. It was like I was missing you. You was missing me. And,
right.
And God had a plan. And but the minute I knew that she was, she had made up her mind to keep the baby, then fatherhood kicked in for me because I didn't have a father.
Yeah.
And I went through, and I did a lot of cool things that a father would have been proud of. I was a good boxer. I was a good athlete. But there was no father on father-son night. There was no father for me. Thank God for the guys in the church that I grew up in. So, my godfather was really good. He would come to my games and different things of that nature. But, having a regular father, I didn't have that. So I didn't want my son to grow up that way. And when I realized, maybe when she was about 2-3 months pregnant, because I was doing some illegal things. I sold pharmaceuticals and I did things I didn't have no business doing. That's what the streets teach you to do. But when I think when she was about 6 months, I stopped. I stopped all that. I said, if you in the streets, you got to be willing to do illegal things. You got to be willing to hurt people and, to keep your territory and different things of that nature. And when she turned about 6 months, I said, I'm not willing to do that anymore. So I cut that off. And because I wanted to make sure that he had a father, because I knew what it felt like to not have a father.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I talked about this in the previous episode. It hasn't aired yet, but not having that father in your presence either drives you to go harder to be a good father, or drives you to follow that same pattern and be absentee. And I've seen it happen both ways. Don't know the rhyme or reason to it. Part of the reason I do the podcast is there really is no manual for being a father. There's really no clear definition of what a good father and a bad father is. At the end of the day, we do some good things, we do some bad things, and hopefully at the end of the day, we do more good than we do bad in being a father. So that was your first child, right? You said after 2 years, you got married, and then your second child?
About 2 years after the marriage. So we got I think it's 4.5 years between Jay and my youngest son. So we're talking about maybe 2 years later. 2 years later. That once again not planned. But I'm married. I'm married, and my second son was born under the marriage covenant, and we were together, and we were in a home, and so my first son, we were together, but we were not under the same roof. But once again, I just, strong commitment. I began to, I went back to school. I think I was a manager at UPS. I went back to school.
Okay, good.
I was working 2-3 jobs. I was in the military as a reservist because I was getting a GI Bill.
Okay.
Got my loans paid. No, I didn't take no loans out. I took them out, but the government paid them back.
Good.
I got my second degree, and just I was always working, but I always found time to coach my kids. I coached the Pop Warner basketball. I coached the Pee Wee baseball, Little League baseball. I was always there because I believe the one definition that you can use to define a.
So Kenny, in raising your boys, you're there as a coach, mentor. You're there for the back to school nights and everything else. How did that feel for you, being there for them when your dad wasn't there for you?
Oh man, I felt great. I mean, I felt like that was my responsibility.
Yeah.
Their mother never went to the school. I went to the school. I took them to the doctor.
Yeah.
She didn't have to do that.
Okay.
I did that.
Okay.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be involved. I wanted to talk to the teachers.
Yeah.
I wanted the teachers
Good.
to know that there was a black man behind these boys. Okay. And it reminds me of a story.
Yeah.
I remember Kendall might have been in 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade, I think. And he got an F in gym. And so I go to parent-teacher night, and he's got an F in gym, and I'm like, well, why does he have an F in gym? And the teacher's like, the gym teacher's like, well, he didn't change his clothes, he didn't change,
Right.
we have a change rule. And I said, well, where's the warning notice? How come I didn't get a warning notice?
Right.
You see, because he comes from a structured home. And if you would have sent a warning notice, and I looked at Kendall, okay, I just looked at him.
Right.
Okay? I said, if you would have sent a warning notice, then he would have changed.
Yeah.
So the reason this is not on Kendall,
Right.
this is on you.
Right.
Because you didn't do your job as a teacher, which is send a warning notice.
Yeah.
And then they had to change his grade.
Okay.
And then I still got on Kendall for not changing and doing what his part was, because I taught my kids the difference between proactive and reactive. I said, your only job is to go to school.
Yeah.
Okay, I got everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if there's a problem, I talk to them every day, even after me and their mom divorced.
Right.
I would call them every single day. What did you learn today?
Okay.
And it wasn't you couldn't give me no generic answer.
Right.
No, what did you learn specifically to learn? What did you learn to do in English?
Okay.
What
That's
was
good.
science class
That's real good.
all about today? And I wouldn't let them. So I had high expectations for them. And I told them, I said, if there's a problem, you better tell me first.
Right.
Because if you don't tell me, and then I go to the school, and then the teacher tells me, then I'm on the teacher's side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they adapted, and they did what they did well.
Yeah, there's some accountability that was there. I know with my kids, especially my boys, Lisa and I would go to the school, especially on back to school night, and say, listen, our kids are AB students. They got to be above sea level, because they will tell you, oh, they have a 70. They're doing fine because of who they perceive that they are. We change that perception and let them know, listen, no, our kids are A students. They might slip to a B, but they are A students, so that now all three of us, the teacher, the parents, and the student, know what the expectations are.
Yeah.
You know, and that speaks volumes, that as a father who's not in the house, divorced from the mother, you're in their lives daily.
Yeah.
That way.
And the other thing is that I was young. I had my first one when I was like 18, 19 years old. So I didn't have no father to guide me. I just had and I'm talking to all fathers right now, I just had a burning desire to be a good father. Okay, so you may not know what to do. You may not know how to do it. Okay, I wasn't walking with the Lord at that time. Okay, you know, I just had a burning desire to be a good father and to be there for my kids. You know.
And that, I think, well, for one, I think fatherhood scares a lot of men, petrifies them actually, to where they don't know what to do. And then when they start getting a lot of back talk from maybe the baby mother and the baby's mother's mother, then they really get scared and crawl into their hole and run away. And really, that's the time to step up and be a man.
Absolutely.
The podcast is called Manhood, but it's about fatherhood. And we always say that before you become a father, you should be a man.
Absolutely.
And in many cases, in your case, you said you were 18, you were young. You had to become a man very quickly.
Very quick.
Okay, in order to shoulder those responsibilities. Anything else that you did when the boys, you know, you all were outside of the same home? How often did you see them? What was visitation like? What was the relationship like with their mom?
So every other weekend, I had them. And, you know, if I wanted to do something, you know, their mother, one thing I'll say about their mother, she never got in the way.
Okay.
You know, I didn't, but there was responsibility that I showed.
Okay.
Like I said, during the divorce, she told the judge, nah, I don't have to worry about child support.
Yeah.
He's going to take care of his kids.
Okay.
I earned that.
Yeah.
I earned that.
Yeah.
Okay. I also know how to lose the battle and win the war. A lot of brothers don't know how to do that.
Okay.
So I understood that, you know, she might be going out. She might ask for some money. Now I paid for private school. Okay. I paid for that.
Okay.
I paid the co-payments. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I knew how much it cost.
Right.
To raise kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I also had her mom. Was a great support system. Her father was a great support system.
Okay.
And even though we broke up, I did not lose. They did not lose respect for me because I did what I was supposed to do.
Right. Right.
I bought all my kids' clothing.
Okay.
I bought it.
Yeah.
Okay, that came from me.
Okay.
So,
You took them shopping?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took them shopping.
Okay.
I bought she never, their mother never, unless she just wanted to do something.
Right.
That it was on me. The school clothes was on me. The sneakers were on me. The play clothes were on me. That was all on me. To the point that one time, my mother-in-law was like, Kenny, you buying them too much. You buying them too much. To that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I took responsibility to take it off of her, and we had a relationship like she was the nurturer, and I was the disciplinarian.
Okay.
You know, if there was a problem, you know, I'm gonna call your father. You know, and she didn't get in the way.
Okay.
She didn't get in the way.
Okay.
We didn't let a woman that I might have been dating or a man that she might have been dating come between how we raised our children.
Okay.
And to this day, we are great friends.
Okay.
Great friends. I
Good.
have nothing but love. Nothing but love
Good.
for her.
Good.
We
Good.
talk. We cool. Family functions are not a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
None of that nonsense. we didn't have that nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm not a nonsense guy.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
I don't do
Right.
nonsense. Now you know that I don't do no nonsense. Okay. So there is you know, and she was the same way.
Yeah.
But I knew how to lose the battle. She might ask for some money. I know. You know, I know you going to hang out,
right?
You know,
right.
but I also knew that if she would have took me down to child support with the kind of money I started to make, that they would have whacked me. So I'm like, okay, go ahead. You know, Kenny, I need this.
Right.
Well, I don't have that, but here's this.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of brothers need to know how to, you know, so there's a time to appease, without being taken advantage of.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But there's a time to appease. If you winning, recognize you winning, and don't do something stupid to make somebody, you know, the Bible says a woman scorned, boy, you don't want that. So I always paid attention to that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Now, did you get any of that wisdom from your mother, being a single mother? About how to treat another
woman.
A mother. Yeah.
You know what, Bob? I to be honest with you, I really can't. I don't know. I know my mom was a strong woman.
Yeah.
I think it's in my heart not to take advantage of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm not that dude.
Right.
You know, I did have my problems. You know, I was young, man. I wasn't done.
Right.
You know, y'all brothers know what I mean. I wasn't done, man.
Yeah.
I was young, and you know, so I like to say I'm slinging penis from here to Venus. So, you know, I went through that stage, you know, and you know, and I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry that I hurt her because she didn't deserve that. And I've made that you know, vividly clear to her that I was just young and I didn't, you know, not to make excuses. I own it.
Right.
You know, I'm owning it now.
Right.
Okay. I was not a good father. I mean, not a good husband.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But I was a good father.
Okay.
And I think that you can be bad at one. Okay. And if you have made mistakes, that's not a get out of fatherhood card free.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No, you got to be there for your kids.
Say that again, please.
You know,
okay.
So I made a ton of mistakes, man. I made a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
But I was not willing to allow my kids to end up in jail, end up dead, make mistakes, not go to college, not graduate, not be successful people in society. I felt like that was my job. The Bible says fathers train up your children. It doesn't say women. It says fathers train up your children. And there's just a difference. Okay, when their mother told them to do something and I told them to do something, there was a difference. And I'm sure the fathers out there know what I mean.
Yeah. My kids will tell you they would have rather me whoop them than to tell them I was disappointed in them. And what they did. Okay, they said, please whoop me, do anything, but don't tell. And that takes time to build because you have to reward them when they do well, praise them when they do well, but then when they don't do well, you also have to let them know. If you don't do both, it doesn't have the same effect. You touched on something I want to maybe lean into a little bit. You talked about if you were dating someone or she was dating someone, how did you work that with the kids? Did you allow the kids to meet the person you were dating? Did she have a problem with it? Did you have a problem with the kids meeting someone that she was dating? How did that work?
That's great. Great question. So, you know, of course, you know, I didn't want my kids seeing every person, you know what I mean? So there were people that they never saw. And but when I did get into serious relationships, eventually they saw them. And I'm blessed by God to even women that I did not end up with were good women. Okay. And they always treated my kids, you know, really right. And, and likewise on her side too.
Yeah. Did you clear that with her before you introduced them to the kids?
Not really. I think my judgment, you know, I think their mother always trusted my judgment. It may not have liked what, you know, you know, because you still got feelings and, you know, brothers know every now and then you know, that attraction is still there. That's the mother, you know, you can end up, you know, into something and then you open up the can of worms all over again. So, you know, we had some things like that happen, but, you know, for the most part, we respected one another's judgment when it came. And I was always involved. So anybody that she dealt with knew there was like, no, they wouldn't. What's going on? Oh, no, I got him. Bring him over here. Okay, I got him. You don't have to, you know, I'll take him 3 weeks this month. Okay. I'll take him 4. I'll take him every week this month. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it was, you know, she never denied me like a lot of women, I'm going to get even. That's the worst mistake they can make. And men, you got to fight for your kids. I let her know, no, there's no way you're not doing that. These are my kids. These are, no, you're not keeping me from my kids. You know, you're going to hurt them. And I think she was wise enough to recognize the value that I added. Okay. And so she didn't play that. She didn't play that. You know that.
And it's wisdom, but it's also maturity.
Correct.
There's a level of maturity that you both have displayed in order to kind of put the kids first, and her to be able to see that, okay, he may not be the husband that I want, but he is the father that my kids need. And I believe women become the gatekeeper. Whoever has custody of that child becomes the gatekeeper. They allow that other parent access, and typically it's the mother who has primary custody, allowing the father to have access. And you can make it very, very difficult as a woman for that father to see that child, or you can make it very easy. And it sounds like she's a gem who made it easy, and like you said, sees the value in it.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your sons. You don't have to name names. I don't put the names of my kids out there on the podcast.
Yeah.
But what are they doing? I know you're proud of them. Listen, I saw your chest pump up when I mentioned them. So go ahead and tell us about your kids.
The two. My oldest is a teacher. He teaches, and he's a good teacher. Just got. I think he came in second for Teacher of the Year. So I'm really, he followed my footsteps. I was a teacher, and my youngest is a financial analyst. So they both are doing something, that I did, and he's very good at what he does, and I'll even throw my oldest, that I did not birth, but when I married my wife, along with her came a 15-year-old.
Okay.
And I have fathered him as well. Okay. And, a little different, a little different dynamic, but I fathered him, and the respect is there. I didn't try to be his father in the beginning. I tried to be his friend. I tried to earn his respect by treating him, like a young man. And now, his birth father did pass, and now he really respects me as his father. Okay. So I'm proud of all three of them, and I like to say that God couldn't have put me in a better situation, and my wife calls me the man maker. Because
I like that.
We're gonna make men. I believe that men have I call the 5 P's of manhood: to provide, to protect, and I mean protect not just physically but spiritually, mentally, to pray with your women and your children, to play with them, and to prepare them for what God has for them. Okay. I call it the 5 P's of manhood.
Okay. And I like that. One more time with the 5 P's.
Provide. Okay. God gave Adam a job before he gave him a woman.
Yes.
Okay. So it's our responsibility. That's why the father gives the woman away.
Yes.
He's giving her away. Okay. The provision that he provided, he's giving it now to the man that's marrying that woman. So to provide, to protect, to pray with, to play with, and to prepare them for what God has for them.
I like that. Listen, listeners, thank you for listening. We have been blessed. We have increased in knowledge and wisdom as to how to navigate this fathering thing in a non-ideal way. It sounds like Kenny here has just done an awesome job in navigating that, and his ex-wife also did an excellent job, because it takes two.
Absolutely.
You cannot do this by yourself. It has to participate. I focus on the male side here. I don't want to get into what's happening with the women. Somebody else will talk to the women and what they will do. But as a man, he said it. He says you have to fight to be in that child's life, regardless of what it is. And we talked about this last season with Barry. We interviewed on here, and he talked about going to court 30 times.
Wow. Just
to get visitation of his son. And he's still in that battle now. Kenny successfully did it, showed responsibility. I love the things that he has said, love the things that hopefully you can take them and apply them to your situation and become a better father in that. Listen, thank you for listening. I hope you continue to listen. There are 12 episodes in season 1. We are building season 2 right now. I have wonderful guests here tonight. I will have other guests for you. I will share some more things about my journey as a father. Continue to listen, share with others so that they might listen, so that we can build a strong nation of great, great fathers.
Yes.